Hello, my name is Isabella Perez, Recreation Leader for the City of Socorro. Thank you for joining today's meeting. Before the meeting begins, we would like to remind our guests to remove all hats and silence all electronic devices. No destructive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
Hola, mi nombre es Judy Rodríguez, secretaria de Planificación de la Ciudad de Socorro. Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Antes de que comience la reunión, nos gustaría recordarles a nuestros invitados favor de quitarse los sombreros y silenciar todos los dispositivos electrónicos. No se tolerará ningún comportamiento perturbador ni exabrupto y los infractores estarán sujetos a expulsión y posible procesamiento.
It is 6:08 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence led by Campestre Elementary School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Please be standing for a moment as assignments.
Thank you so much, ladies. When I call your name, would you please come up and receive your certificate? Hope Amerman. Thank you. Stay up here. Stay up here. Right here, right here. Grace Amerman. Thank you. Alice Acosta. Stay right here, okay? We're gonna take pictures.
Okay, turn around.
Jimena Acosta. Stay right there, okay? Show them your certificate.
Stand.
Yes, please.
Ready? Big smiles, big smiles. Ready? 1, 2, 3. No, move. Do we have a teacher or any parents here that want to get pictures? You can come closer. Big smiles, big smiles. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you all.
Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares, Alejandro Garcia,
Here.
Rudy Cruz,
Present.
Mayor Ivy Avalos,
Here.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos. Here. Mayor, we have quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, public comment.
Mayor, we have one speaker, Miriam Cruz. Ms. Cruz, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. Gosh, I feel like I haven't been here in a while. I haven't. And so some of this might be old news, but it's news to me, and I'm just wanting to say on a personal note, I'm really excited to see Mr. Perez here. I appreciated his work when he was on city council, and I'm excited what he may be bringing to the city as part of, as the deputy city manager. I'm giddy, to say the least. I also wanted to comment on the Sunday, gosh, I don't even know what it's called, when you guys close down, Socorro Sundays, thank you. I know that it's been I think we've done a valiant effort to get things going. I don't know that the turnout has been great. I don't know if it's time to evaluate whether the location, the timing, the day, needs to be changed. I personally mention it because it does affect my route. Sunday is family time for many of us, and it personally affects when I go visit my family. And so sometimes I forget that it's happening, and causes a lot of going around. And so I'm just trying to bring that to the city council's attention. Is that something that, again, whether it's the day, whether it's the timing, whether it's, I know promotion is high. I mean, you have to give it up to Mr. Reta. He's always done a great job with promoting all Socorro City events. And for sure, it's splashed everywhere. And I think that's, I think we've done what we can. I don't know if it's time to just think about it again. And I do have some comments on some agenda items, but I will hold those for when those items get called. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to move up 38 through 41.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to Police Department. Item number 38, discussion and action to approve grant purchase of fixed license plate readers from LSAG in amount is $62,133.
Motion to approve?
Second. Good evening, Robert Rojas, Chief of Police, City of Socorro. So I'm here to bring this to council. This is already an existing grant that's already been awarded. This is the JAG grant for fiscal year 23. This is just the purchase of, in this case, there's 3 different items that we're going to be purchasing. This is going to be fixed license plate readers that'll be placed strategically throughout the city in the amount of $62,133. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Mayor, we
Ms.
have a
Villalobos?
speaker.
Oh, we have one speaker?
Miriam Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. I guess I would have preferred to hold my comments after you guys asked some questions, but as a constituent and a citizen of Socorro, and I think y'all know what I do as a profession, I don't understand why we think that this would be a good investment. I think it actually goes against community policing. Community policing in the city of Socorro, I think, is a vital thing that we want, where the police are in the city interacting with their constituents and not having sort of a police state, a big brother, where every license plate of every vehicle is going to be ran 24/7. That includes the GPS coordinates, images of the license plate, date and timestamps, vehicle make, model, and color. I'm all for the safety of our city, for sure. I believe in that. I think that's important. However, I don't think that we want to do that when it's violating our rights, our Fourth Amendment right to not be, and other rights to not be illegally searched or seized. And when we run a license plate, and if there's a hit that comes back, that has, in fact, ran a search, and now it's given police a time to go. The 2 things I'll say is that originally, I believe the money was for those devices to be in police cars. I think that's where they should stay.
Ms. Cruz, your time is up.
Alternatively, I think you guys should go with the solar panel. I mean, we're gonna have them, make them green.
Ms. Villalobos?
Hi. Chief Rojas. My question goes along the line of something that Miriam brought up, but this is a grant. It's been approved, and now we need to accept.
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Well,
that-
this is for the purchase. So we've accepted,
Okay.
we've accepted. Now we're just about to purchase and finish
Purchase.
out the grant.
Okay. And so other cities have done this. We're not new to this.
Yes, ma'am. And in respect to what she is saying is, I do understand, and I understand what the conception or the misconception could be. These are going to be placed there. They will be capturing data, but ultimately, what my goal is as the police chief is to be able to solve crimes that are occurring within the city of Socorro or that lead out of and into the city of Socorro. And that's really what we want to use with these fixed license plate readers. The mounted police or license plate readers would do the same thing. The only thing is they would be attached to a vehicle and then they would alert the officers right then and there. So it is, I do understand that. I understand the big brother aspect. That's absolutely not what I'm trying to do or what my police department's trying to do.
I'll just add this. Last year, my brother's vehicle was stolen, and because of one of these devices in El Paso, they were able to pinpoint where this car had been driven to, and it was found exactly where the last sighting was from one of these devices.
No, absolutely, and it gives officers, so one of the things that policing has moved into is into intelligent-based, right? To deploy people and our resources in the right area, in the correct place. So there's really what police departments and police agencies across the nation have done is they've stopped putting police officers where they don't need to be, right? So there's no reason to be in certain places. And if this determines that we have a high volume of stolen vehicles in the city of Socorro, then we can target that type of enforcement, that type of education. I can tell you, and some may know what my history is or what my experience is we use intelligent-based all the time to solve murders, to solve aggravated assaults, to solve sexual assaults, and just to point us in the right direction. There won't be necessarily the big brother, but we will have a database of vehicles that are coming in and out of our city and what those vehicles are tied to.
Mr. Garcia?
I'd just like to make a comment. You know, I understand the point, but we all carry cell phones. Yeah. And that's already done. So if you think Big Brother is not here, it's always here. Wi-Fi, Big Brother's here. So like me and my wife have discussed many times, it's fine as long as we are safe. Because if you have nothing to hide, then you're fine. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have one comment?
Mr. Cruz?
Just I think it's important to engage the community along with their concerns, and I feel that under Texas state law, invasions of privacy would have already been brought up before the city would have engaged the purchase of this type. And at the same time, as Councilman Garcia stated, with the technology that we all carry every day in our pockets and whatnot, our locations are always being tracked. But at the same time, it's also important to state and let the community know that the information that or data that's being collected from the registry, from these license plate readers, pertain to law enforcement officials within the city of Socorro only and no one else. So no one else has this information, no one else can access this information. And I feel that through the cutting edge technology that we're trying to bring now, we're able to pinpoint criminal activity or investigations within seconds upon criminal entering our city, our zone, our area. We're able to track that vehicle within seconds. And
So I think there's a couple things that we can focus on. We do want to be interoperable. We want to make sure that we're doing things correctly and that we're doing things where we're collaborating with other agencies, the way that the El Paso Police Department helps us, the Sheriff's Office, and the other agencies. In addition to this, for us to even participate in the license plate reading program for the state of Texas, we have to have policies. We have to have certain practices that are in place. They have to be done legally. There's an auditing feature in the software. So there's a lot of checks and balances where we're not just going to be out fishing necessarily for any kind of data. So understand that that is going to be one of our goals. And I do understand that the prior chief had the mounted vehicle approach. The only thing is that when that vehicle's not out working, we're not capturing quite possibly that data. So that vehicle that may have been seen when it's fixed will not have been seen because the vehicle's either in the shop or in the parking lot at the station or just sitting there. So I do appreciate the comment. I appreciate that type of input. I plan on running a very transparent organization, so I welcome any questions, and by no means am I offended by any of these questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
We have, just to answer that question, we have not started our policy, and the reason we haven't started our policy is because we haven't signed the agreement with the DPS.
Thank you again.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 39, discussion and action to approve a grant purchase of an active shooter system in the amount of $38,260 with a reoccurring annual cost of $1,085.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Again, Robert Rojas, Chief of Police here in the city of Socorro. I'm here coming forward with this purchase. Again, this is another purchase off the same grant. This is in the amount of $38,260 with an annual cost of $1,085. What this system does, and this is actually really, really cutting edge type stuff, just like the license plate reader, is these are fixed antennas that are fixed in different locations within the city of Socorro that detect gunshots. So when a gunshot is fired or a weapon is fired, it will automatically create a system or create an alert, which goes to our dispatch, goes to certain people within our agency, and tells us, for instance, if we were to have it up here at RVS, that there was a gunshot at this time at this place, it was a single shot, and then it would alert the police so that the police could respond to the area. I'm really excited about this because I think there's certain locations within the city of Socorro that we can monitor that's mobile as well. And then in addition to that, what we plan on doing is, again, intelligent-based policing, where we go and we look at where are we having our incidences of shooting. We put this up, so hopefully we can push that out and maybe fix those. So I'm here to answer any of those questions. I hope I kind of answered those questions right off the bat, but I'm here to answer any other questions.
Speakers?
No speakers, Mayor.
Mr. Cruz?
Chief, we don't like to follow rules sometimes in Socorro, and we like to pop fireworks during the 4th of July. Well, is this something that those devices might detect as a potential gunshot? Or
I've literally never heard that people in Socorro try to fire fireworks. So you know,
Stick around.
I'll be on vacation in July, on 4th of July. So this one's actually really good. When I sat through the presentation and I saw the technology that was coming out, this technology will actually tell us what type of weapon was fired, right? So it'll tell us that it's a .223 round, or if it's a shotgun, or if it's a 9mm or a .40 caliber. It's phenomenal, and I almost still don't believe it, but it really is pinpoint. And actually, what I had brought up was the train. So the city of El Paso had kind of started this type of program where they had it's a different company, but they had this up in the Northeast because the Northeast was having a bunch of shootings. Well, the same system was up, but it was going off often with the train, right? The train was causing the alarms to go off, and it had to eventually be taught not to do that. This system is not like that. I asked the specific question because of the fact that the train runs right through our city. So I asked that question. They answered the firework question at the same time. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really looking forward to it. And I really envision us really being able to really promote this for the city of Socorro and the fact that we are going to be a very safe community.
I have a similar question. We have over here by the orchards and the farms, they have like a sound that shoots off. Would that, you have to?
I'm very familiar with what you're talking about. I will tell you that I didn't ask that question, right? The cool thing about this technology is it learns as it goes, right? So it's able to have been taught what type of sounds to ignore and to kind of just put away. So I'm definitely going to look into that. I really don't necessarily envision those antennas going up in those areas because that's not where we're typically having our shootings, right? So I want to put these up in areas that are going to be effective. So putting them up in the orchards may not necessarily be somewhere that I would want to put those up. However, I may want to put those up in the parks area to kind of promote that. I know that we had a shooting several months back before I came on in one of the subdivisions. That would be a great place for it because it's a certain area that people should not be firing, right? So there's certain things that they're able to do in the orchards and they're able to do in those pecan orchards that they may not be able to do inside the area where there's some residences.
I just mentioned that because people call in and they say it sounds like gunshots.
No, and believe it or not, I mean that happens all the time.
And they get scared.
They do, and I can tell you out of personal experience, that happened when my grandfather had it, right? And my grandfather had it, and they built the houses across the street on Rio Vista. It was constant, right? So sometimes we have to work on understanding and being able to communicate with each other and understand there's an actual cause that they're doing it. They're not doing it in a reckless manner for one, and then on top of that, they're doing it because they're trying to preserve their income as their working income. But we'll definitely make sure that we try to teach it so that we don't get those false alarms.
Thank you. Ms. Villalobos?
So I have several questions, okay?
Absolutely.
Number one, how many devices are we buying? How high do you have to put them up? And you already mentioned some of the areas that would benefit from all this. And they're mobile. You've already mentioned that. And, you know, we are Socorro. We still have a lot of people that during 4th of July, July 4th, December, whatever, birthday, whatever, they start shooting their guns and you can hear them. So what's the range? Once you put them up, what's the range around them, the radius around them?
So I would love to give a lot of those specifics simply because I think education's good, but I also don't want to necessarily disclose a lot of the parameters of it. I will tell you though that there's going to be 4 dragonflies and then 3 extreme and 7 mounts for a total of 7. So the way the system works is it's on triangulation, right? So you put them up in 3 different spots. For instance, if we were to put them up here at RV, I call it RVS, we'd put it up in 3 different spots, and then what happens is when that sound is detected or that gunshot is detected, it triangulates and it pinpoints exactly where it's at. It's really dependent on how high we want to put them that's effective, right? Obviously, the better, the higher, or the higher the better, and that's what we plan on doing it. We bought the poles to allow us to do it, but we could also put them on poles that are existing. So if the city has existing infrastructure, we could actually mount them on those. We plan on working with Works to get those up and training them to do that as well. But the range, it's substantial. I can tell you that's going to cover this area. And we think about places like, or times like Winterfest, right? So Winterfest, we had several thousand people here, which is a potential nightmare for law enforcement, right? Because of things that have happened. I mean, we look at Las Vegas, we look at these different shootings that have occurred. People can cause a terrorist act like that. And if we're able to, one, promote that we have gunshot detectors in certain areas, people are going to be discouraged from doing any kind of acts. And then in addition to that, when those acts are caught or are done, then we're able to pinpoint certain evidence. And then on top of that, working with the license plate readers, maybe we're able to detect what vehicles they get into and they get out of. So I think this whole system working together, and really what I'm envisioning for the city of Socorro and the police department, I think is really, really going to promote the safety of our entire community and anybody who comes into our community, like in Winterfest.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia?
You know, this sounds great, Chief. So just so people know, you know, it cuts down on time, response times. I know we had a shooting up here a while back and a shooting down in I can't remember the street. But as an educator, you think about the school shootings and you think about the cut in time and how fast we would be able to get there when you know that's something that's happening, and be better prepared to go into the schools and know what you're dealing with instead of going in blind.
Absolutely, Mr. Garcia. And this system is really, really cutting edge because There's even interior antennas that you can place inside a building, right? And it works together as I guess you could say, an umbrella. So for instance, we could have one in here, and if a gunshot is detected, it immediately starts the 911 system. Whereas instead of me having to call for help, or somebody have to call for help, it immediately starts that system. So those are seconds, and precious seconds, that could cost lives. And there's really a great infrastructure built behind it. And the great thing is as I did mention, the $1,000 that it costs, the $1,000 annually will only increase as I increase antennas or hardware or panic alarms, right? So I envision for us to be able to put them in all the different buildings that the city of Socorro owns. It'd be great for the Socorro Independent School District to jump on board, because that'd be a fantastic way of us being able to be triggered and start our response in those emergency situations. So I appreciate that comment, and I will tell you that the system that the city of Socorro is looking at purchasing is one that can become bigger. And it doesn't necessarily stop or end here. We can build into it. There's no parameters as far as that. So I'm really excited about how that's going to work out.
And what would be a relationship with SISD, or do we have a relationship with SISD to make sure that our schools here in Socorro have that system in place, and what can we collaborate?
Sharing
of costs per se.
Absolutely. So I don't know about the sharing for the cost, right? Because I haven't had that discussion with them yet. I have worked out where in this package they're supposed to give us like some T&E remotes, and they asked how many campuses we had in the city of Socorro, and I mentioned, well, this is how many we have. So they're going to throw those in so that we can test them out and maybe get Socorro ISD to get on board with this sort of purchase, specifically for the campuses in the city of Socorro. To be honest with you, I pride myself in the relationships that exist, that I have in the law enforcement community. But I think that if we look at this as a holistic approach to a response to active shooters, then I think the city of Socorro leads the charge on something like this, because I can tell you that from my understanding, nobody else in the county is doing anything of this nature.
Excellent, thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 40, discussion and action to approve the grant purchase of 5 speed monitoring trailers in the amount of $38,095.
Motion to approve.
Second. Again, Robert Rojas, Chief of Police, City of Socorro. I'm here on this last portion of this grant. Originally, Chief Burton, for whatever reason, had thought of purchasing radar trailers that would then be able to send out infractions after being witnessed by a peace officer. We've learned that we cannot do that in the state of Texas. So what we did was we went back, we revisited the same company, and we said, hey, look, the grant, we've already written it for this purpose. Can we repurpose or reallocate or change the grant so that we can buy speed trailers? We did. We got them, and they went from 3. Now we're getting 5. And what you'll see here is pretty much radar trailers that we can put up in different locations throughout the city of Socorro, and it'll also offer surveys. So many times, and I know the city manager and planning know that we get a lot of complaints of speeders, and I know you all from your constituents receive complaints about people speeding through the neighborhood. We're gonna add to our bank or fleet of radar trailers that we can actually deploy, so that we don't necessarily have to deploy an officer to sit there and enforce when maybe there's not a problem. In addition to that, this will also help us determine whether or not speed humps are necessary or required, or if they are, or if they're not. We're able to move these. We purchased the cloud storage. We're able to move them, and it pinpoints every location that we've had those, and it's able to spit out the information and the data thereafter. The great thing about this is that data stays there. So if for whatever reason, let's say let's pick Rio Vista. We put it up on Rio Vista and we have an issue, and we monitor and we find out we don't. And a year later, we can put it up in the same spot and we can determine if there's become an issue because we added a business in the area. So we're able to go back, and again, it's intelligent-based policing. And not only that, the police department or the way that I am is working with the chief of police, working as the chief of police with the different departments of the city of Socorro so that we can work together with our equipment and their equipment to be better for the city of Socorro.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
just real quick, it's the ones that you pull, right? And it has the big, whatever size of sign that you're going to order. It's the ones that we see when we're promoting our 4th of July or event or any event. Is that-
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. So going back to Winterfest again, so we could put them up on each side of Rio Vista. We can put them up on North Loop on each side, so we can slow down traffic. We can put them in the school zones. There's actually a feature where if you're within the speed limit, it has a happy face. And if you're out of the parameters of the speed limit, it has a sad face. That's targeted towards kids. So we put it up at the elementaries. The kids are going to be watching. The kids are watching everything the parents are doing. So if they see the unhappy face, they're going to be able to go back and say, hey, my mom isn't doing this or my dad isn't doing this. And that really helps us as police officers because now they feel bad because they're breaking the law. I know that with my daughters, they're the ones who keep me in check. I'm making sure I have a seatbelt on, making sure I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. So what better way to be able to do it? But it is that same
Yes.
type.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 41, discussion and action to approve the purchase of Lexipol Law Enforcement Policy Manual subscription service in the amount of $25,490.40.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Again, Robert Rojas on a different purchase, and this is not a grant. So Lexipool is, I believe, a phenomenal law enforcement tool or software that can be used. One of the things that I wanted to do when coming in as the chief of police is to become Texas best practices. What that means is being able to go back and say that your police department, the community's police department, is abiding by standards that are set across the state of Texas. In other words, these are the best practices that agencies across the state of Texas are using. Lexipol is going to help me pretty much rewrite policy of the police department. We're going to be able to have cutting edge, and I know I've used that word before, cutting edge policy that is going to be up to date, in compliance with law, in compliance with Supreme Court rulings that may just come down, and we're going to be able to adopt those pretty much instantaneously. The one thing about the Lexipol software is that they have a bank of lawyers that are vetting these different laws that are coming down, whether it be from the Supreme Court, the Circuit of Appeals, or even just state law, and they have these policies ready to go. All I have to do is pretty much evaluate, determine if that's something that we want, and then talk to our legal to make sure they're good with it, and we enact it. The other thing is that this Lexipol also allows me to test my officers constantly, if not on a daily basis, of what policy is, right? So if I notice a trend that we have people who are operating a police vehicle with a cell phone in hand, then I can go back and say, hey, you know what, let's revisit this policy. The month of January, we're gonna work on the cell phone policy and what the cell phone policy is for the police department. And everybody has to get it. As soon as they log in their computer, they're reading the policy, and then they're tested on the policy, and then they acknowledge that they've tested on that policy. And now I have it for record keeping. It's repetition, 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 and then it becomes known. That's the major part of the Lexipol. The other part that I'm also asking for the ability to purchase is the first line. It's not first line supervisor, but it's a leadership program. So there's I'm big on leadership, and I'm big on ownership and extreme ownership, and I really want the leaders within the organization, which I have identified as the 10 sergeants, corporals, lieutenants, and the deputy chief, to attend this 1-year annual training. And it's given by people who are from the military, and they understand what extreme ownership is. This isn't necessarily gung-ho leadership. This is, hey, I have some ownership in this agency, and I want to forward this agency into the next year and into the future. I think that's one thing that we're lacking in general across the board, is that people just don't have that ownership. They always blame everybody else in this, and this leadership, I guess, leadership package that I purchased on top of this really focuses around extreme ownership. And if you read it, it's by Jocko, Extreme Ownership. He gives the class by Lexa Poole. He's a phenomenal book writer and a great leader. And I just really looking forward to bringing that to the agency.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Aye.
Rudy Cruz,
Aye.
and Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Aye. Mayor, I have a question.
Ms. Villalobos?
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're getting ready to jump back to our regular
Right, we're,
agenda.
your
I'm
presentations.
Okay, I'm concerned about item number 10, and I don't know if we can pull it and discuss it with the attorney.
It's consent.
It's consent, do you want to pull it out of consent? Pull it out of
Consent,
consent?
Yeah, you could do it either way. You could address it now, or you could
Address it at the end?
address consent. The consent and proceed with it and just save it for another time. Save it for the end, yes.
I prefer to save it for the end so we can continue.
Okay,
Okay? All right. Thank you.
we'll make that motion at the end.
If you're gonna amend the consent agenda, that would be a motion.
Right now.
Right.
Okay.
But when you hit the consent agenda,
Yeah, we're not there yet, though. We're at presentations.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations, item number 5, presentation from Kayla Perales of the Texas Mission of Mercy regarding dental program. Mr. Cruz, would you like to introduce?
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to introduce to you all today Ms. Kayla Perales, along with Dr. Cristo Anaya, who's also a graduate of Socorro High School and is now a dentist. And I met with them late last year, and they brought forward this Texas Mission of Mercy event that happens every year, and this year is going to be held at Socorro High School. And I wanted to invite them up to the podium and the microphone if you ladies would please come up so you can speak a little bit about the event and how it is going to impact our community. I know that they had a financial goal, and that financial goal has been reached already. All they're asking for is that we help promote and kind of seek those potential clients here within our community and surrounding areas so that they can attend this event. So I'll let them present a little bit about it, and if we have any questions, we can ask some questions after.
Great, thank you, Mr. Cruz. I wrote a script so I can stay on track. Ladies and gentlemen of the Socorro City Council and esteemed leaders and fellow community members, my name is Kayla Perales, and I am the community chair for the Texas Mission of Mercy El Paso, which I will briefly discuss with you all today. Joining me is Dr. Cristel Anaya, Texas Dental Association Southwest Senior Director, and Texas Mission of Mercy El Paso Dental Chair. I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to address you today. We stand before you on behalf of the El Paso District Dental Society and the Texas Mission of Mercy to share news about a significant event taking place on April 12th and 13th at Socorro High School, a 2-day initiative to provide free dental care to our community. This event is a collaborative effort between the El Paso District Dental Society and the Texas Mission of Mercy. The Texas Mission of Mercy operates a mobile dental clinic reaching communities across Texas with a mission to provide essential dental care to individuals facing challenges in accessing such services. Our goal for this event is ambitious: to serve 800 patients, which we've done in the past, both children and adults, in just 2 days. This event is made possible through the generosity of donors and contributions, both in kind and monetarily. We are currently reaching out to our business community seeking contributions in form of in-kind donations, things like food and water and more, to provide to those receiving care and to our dedicated dental volunteers, ultimately ensuring the success of this mission. As we embark on this mission, we are also engaging the media to spread word throughout the El Paso County community. Moreover, we are prepared to go into our community, attending various events to inform the public about this event personally. We want to ensure that every individual who could benefit from this free dental care knows about the event and has the opportunity to sign up. The Socorro community is at the heart of our efforts. We believe in working hand in hand with you to address the significant need for dental care within our community. This event not only serves as a lifeline for those with limited resources, but also alleviates the financial burden many face when seeking dental care. By preventing and relieving pain, we aim to reduce the strain on our local hospitals, allowing them to focus on other critical health issues. In conclusion, we ask that you please consider supporting our initiative. By joining forces with the El Paso District Dental Society and the Texas Mission of Mercy, we can substantially impact our community's well-being. Together, we can ensure that essential dental care reaches those who need it the most, fostering a healthy and more vibrant Socorro. Thank you for your time and consideration, and if you have questions, Dr. Anaya will go ahead and answer those. Question.
Mr. Reyes?
I got a quick question. When they go and sign in for the dental work, what kind of paperwork are you guys asking for?
So we'll have some pre-screening events where people can be pre-screened for dental treatment. They'll have to fill out like a health history, basically, but
Nothing like a ID or like a
so
a
with
bill, utility bill?
No bill. Socorro High School, they want IDs for people to enter the campus on the Friday event. Okay. So that's going to be a security thing, but we also recognize that some people may not have IDs that want to access care. So their security will be set up to maybe accept patients or move them on to a Saturday when there's no students on campus, from what I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
2 questions. I know it says save the date, and I know that I heard that you might have to call in and make an appointment, or for either day?
Most of it's walk-up, but we do try to screen patients in advance. So in March, we will be advertising a place to sign up so that we can pre-screen some patients, so that the day of the event, we can start seeing people and we're just rocking and rolling. And then the people that walk up, there's going to be like a triage area where we kind of get to see what the most significant dental need is. So say that someone needs several extractions, we'll plan for that, or several fillings. At this time, I don't think we're going to be doing any prosthodontic work, which is like dentures or partials, because that takes several appointments. But you know, just things that can help alleviate pain, things that can prevent pain and keep people out of emergency rooms.
And also, it doesn't have a time. What time do you guys plan to start?
So it's going to start at like 7 a.m. 7 to 5.
Okay. Alrighty then. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Mayor, one last thing.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, so I wanted just to introduce you all in person, Mr. Victor Reta, who's our PIO. He's our Public Information Officer as well as our Director of Recreations, and he wears several other hats. And so if this council wishes to promote through our social media pages, Victor ultimately is your person. He has his team and staff ready to go for any of that type of information that you guys want to get promoted. But ultimately, Mayor and Council, when these ladies approached me, it wasn't really for a sponsorship or donation of any kind. It was more so the support from our community and our staff to help promote and identify the need within our community. And the way we can help is to help promote the event through our social media pages, as well as maybe reach out to any families who we may feel might want to take advantage of this free event. It's fast-paced, and you're talking about multiple doctors that fly in from out of state, I'm out of El Paso, and they're giving their own time and their materials and just to help out the community, right?
So it's a 40-chair event over 2 days, so we expect that we'll have several people from our community, of course, that are coming to help. The last event that we had was in 2018, and it was at Jefferson High School, and we did serve 800 people. It was like $500,000 in care, so it was quite a bit. And we do have docs that come from across the state that follow these missions. So the next one is in Hardin County, which is East Texas, so the next one's on far West Texas here. So yeah, it's pretty amazing what we can accomplish in those days. So all we ask is, that you let your community members know about it, so that we have people to serve when the day comes, because all this work will be for nothing if there's no one to serve it with. So, yes.
So start eating candy, guys.
Yeah.
Get cavities.
I did want to mention that I did talk to Mr. Cruz, and I let him know that our mission was also, we want to go into the community, any community events, because we understand also that certain people may not know how to sign up, or that's going to be a barrier for them. And so that's something that we're ready to take on and with the community. So this is why we're here, to kind of, let you all know that we want to, tie together the Socorro community, any community event, so that we can be there and kind of get everybody signed up.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Item number 6, presentation on community input process and findings for the Economic Recovery Strategic Plan currently in development.
There's a presentation. It's in the backup. It's in the backup. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We have a brief presentation for you today. As you know, the City of Socorro is working on its Economic Recovery Strategic Plan that will help guide the economic development and economic recovery efforts of the city and staff for the next 3 to 5 years. We have engaged Ascendo Strategies to help us develop that plan. They have been working very diligently to meet with different stakeholders, community members, business owners, elected officials, entities, and partner entities here in Socorro to be able to put together what our consensus and our vision is for economic recovery and economic development in Socorro. And so today they will be presenting on that process and also some of the key findings that they have observed through this process. And again, the goal is to make sure that we're informing the public and City Council that this is a consensus building process that took in feedback from many different stakeholders. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Griselda Martinez from Ascendo.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and community. It is an honor for me to be here. And if I can hold the presentation for just a moment. All right. Can you go to the next one, please? Next one. Again, good evening. My name is Griselda Martinez, CEO and founder of Ascendo Strategies. Some of my team members are here present in person and over Zoom. We as a team we are the company supporting the Economic Recovery Strategic Plan for the City of Socorro, as Ms. Valadez mentioned before. It is our honor to be here to present to you the community outreach efforts that have taken place as part of this very important plan that you have been commissioned out. In the process, it is crucial to hear the overall community, not just city staff and city council members, but also business community and community at large. So as Ms. Valadez mentioned, we've been very diligent in doing so. Also, because of the importance of Socorro and its location, we've also engaged with regional partners. We need to hear their perceptions, their desires, and also their vision for the future. It is important to highlight that one key function of this community input process is a gathering of information. But more than that, it is more important to build consensus among the community members and the leadership and use that to inform recommendations, which is the ultimate goal from the economic recovery plan. Purpose, okay. The presentation's primary purpose is to inform you all about the process that we have undergone and the key takes away from that. Before I get into the actual community input piece of it, I would like to highlight some important pieces of the community because I believe it's a powerful tool to frame this conversation that will help us understand better where we are positioned. The first one is the City of Socorro population. As you see in this graph, with the exception of 2019, the City of Socorro's population has been increasing over the last years. More importantly, the median age is 35 years old. And I want to pause there because I want to highlight that this is a critical aspect of opportunity for the future because two primary reasons on economic development, from the economic development perspective. The first one is that this represents an economic productive age of peoples in their careers, bringing stability to the marketplace. The second one is this population age is also prime to start entrepreneurial endeavors. They have experience and they have the drive to start new ventures. Next. This slide may seem pretty obvious because we live and do our life in the City of Socorro. However, I want to highlight that the City of Socorro Hispanic population is much higher than that in El Paso County and City, which is only of 82%. So this is a critical difference, even though we are so close to each other. This one I also want to bring to your attention because I believe that knowing how we function, we talked about in the previous presentation, the language, 87% of community members in Socorro speak other language than English at home. In this case, Spanish. And this is a great opportunity for us to understand how can we tailor our services and recommendations to serve that very particular population. Can you go back? The graph on the right will give you the age groups that this Spanish speaker population have. Next one, please. This is the last slide before I go into the community input process. And I want to highlight that these are estimates from the US Census, and they give us a really good pattern of where our people are going and coming from for jobs. So the arrow on the left, on orange, is the people living outside Socorro that are coming for jobs within the City of Socorro. The arrow on the right in blue, those are City of Socorro residents that go out to other parts to work, so commuters. And the number in the center, the 496, those are residents of Socorro who are also working within the city. So this is important to see because it ties to some of the highlights in the input process. So we start with the community input process, and as we mentioned before, we wanted to be as comprehensive as possible. So we included one-on-one conversations with regional agencies, focus group sessions with business owners, community members, and other partners. As an additional component, we deployed a survey both in English and in Spanish that was distributed via email blast, social media, and it was printed hard copy at the community center. We also engaged City Council and city staff in a visioning exercise. The input is presented in 2 steps. The first one is strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities gathered from the focus groups, one-on-ones, and visioning exercises with staff. The second one, we are presenting the highlights specific to industries as opportunities for the future. And we'll go into the highlights of strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. We received a long list of strengths, but from the economic recovery plan's perspective, the ones highlighted in bold are the top 3 that we consider most important to highlight. As we all know, the location is one. The partnerships for business support that are already in existence that I'll go into a little bit more detail later, and the existing labor force that ties back to the median age that I highlighted before. Next one, please. Similarly, we talk about weaknesses. The number 1 highlighted was the lack of an identity and brand for the community itself. Number 2 is the limited higher paying wages that are within the city, therefore tying back to the commuting number that was highlighted before. And then we are listing those related to businesses specifically, and including language barriers for Spanish speakers, business owners lacking financial and digital literacy, limited access for capital for mom and pop, and lack of awareness of the existing business programs right now. Something really important for me to mention is that the opportunities was the longest list of all of them, which captures the excitement of the community members participating in this process. Similar to the other categories, we broke it into priorities. Number 1 was anything related to historical and cultural items, including business creations, leveraging on Mission Trail, developing initiatives around the tourism and hospitality areas, and incentivizing historical buildings. Next, it was focused on education, and it was mentioned to partner further with UTEP and EPCC to bring additional educational opportunities in Socorro. Specific for businesses, given the context to the economic recovery, this is a longer list of items that was included in this gathering of input. As you see on the left, further awareness of the already existing programs that are free of cost to business owners in this community is a huge opportunity. I'm going to mention the ones that are very active in this community as a public information aspect. Project Vida, they provide technical assistance in English and in Spanish, and they range from the person with an idea to the micro business. They followed by SBDC Apex. They specialize in helping businesses acquire government contracts. Then SBDC, they provide technical assistance for small businesses. They also offer English and Spanish support. And last but not least, Workforce Borderplex, which not only provides assistance to businesses who are seeking talent, but also job seekers who are looking for a job, and also training in areas, jobs of high demand that they can leverage upon. On your right-hand side, you see that an opportunity from the community's perspective is to expand upon these existing regional partnerships. Then followed by financial literacy for small businesses, including those specific to the Spanish-speaking community. Now we're transitioning into the areas of industry specific. So from all the groups, we provided a long list of industries where we asked which were their priorities that believe had the opportunity for growth, economic growth for Socorro. The ones that you see across the board were in common for all groups were healthcare, education, entertainment, including food and restaurants, and tourism. Next one, please. Also, for the in-person meetings, we had the opportunity to dig a little deeper. And so we asked what the people thought they were current strengths for the community, potential areas for growth, and desired growth. In a effort to find consensus, healthcare, education, including learning and schools, and manufacturing were those that were common to potential growth and desired growth. Given the in-person conversations, there was a high emphasis on historic and cultural tourism. So we decided to include digging deeper into the surveys in this particular area. So we included a question in the surveys both to community members and business owners. What should Socorro prioritize? Should Socorro prioritize in tourism and cultural events? As you see, almost 90% of the community members strongly support or supported this statement. On the business perspective, it was we had some support primarily, but also we had 21% who strongly disagree. For those that agree and strongly disagree, we asked a follow-up question. What are the ways to maximize economic benefits from tourism? And as you see, there are 4 areas that are common to both groups, business community and community at large. So the key takeaways from this community input. The number one is that it's not normal to every community, is that you have an engaged community. And the community, from the business perspective, has increased their level of engagement. Actually, one of the inputs that somebody provided was, can the city of Socorro engage the businesses to use us as ambassadors for that brand and identity? Top weaknesses ties back to that comment, lacking the branding and identity. But also, every weakness is an opportunity for creation of initiatives. From the key takeaways from priority future industries, we saw that it was healthcare, education, tourism, and entertainment. And the top areas of priorities from both groups included the restoration of historical sites, local festivities and celebrations, culinary trails connecting to local eateries, events around local stories. And then there were some different perspectives that is also important to highlight. But again, the process here is to build consensus, and so those were the common areas. And before I conclude my presentation, I want to commend you all as city leadership for taking command of the future of this community and set the direction for an even brighter future. With that, I conclude my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
I have a question, Mayor.
Mr. Cruz?
Thank you for the presentation. I think that this helps us gauge and what route we want to take here as a community here within our city as far as the economic growth. But my question for you is, what did the survey population look like, so how many people, and then also, I don't know, because I'm not analytically driven the way you and your team are. I don't understand maybe I don't know how important it is when you gather this population. Do you research like the individual's background? Like, are they originally from Socorro? Are they part of like the pioneers? Are they people who have moved to Socorro? Because I think that plays an important role because of just the history here and the type of Socorro they want to see, like the older generation, and then you have like I point to myself, the younger generation, but I'm not that young. But what do the young folks want? What do the middle-aged people want? And then what does the older generation want to see here in Socorro? I don't know if all that was taken into consideration when putting this data together.
Thank you, Councilor Cruz. To address the first question, the one-on-one conversations with regional agency partners were a total of 4. For focus groups, we had 2 sessions, total of 9 attendees. These focus groups included regional partners, business owners, and community members. The surveys to the general community, one of the questions was, are you a resident of Socorro? And if they answered no, they were disqualified. So we really wanted to make sure that the input was from actual residents from this community. I will have to go back and check and see if we asked how long they had been a resident, and I'll get back to you through Ms. Valadez. But they were definitely, they were required to be a resident. For the survey, we had 83 responses on the community side, which is much larger than the answers on the business community side, which is a total of 34. However, on the community side, we also included other questions. If they were business owners, we asked particular questions embedded in the community survey as well. So we tried to really leverage upon the opportunity of them being already engaged to gather as much information as possible.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to move the consent agenda to be the last item for tonight.
Consent agenda or just number 10?
Do we have to do the whole thing, Jim, or just number 10?
Number 10. Yeah, you can, no discretion, actually. I understand from your intent, it was to extract item 10
Okay.
from the consent agenda and move it to the bottom of the agenda, in which case I would move to do both things.
To extract.
And move to the bottom of the agenda.
Okay. So, I'd like to make a motion to move item number 10 in the consent agenda to be the last item read tonight, and
So the motion would be to approve the consent agenda and move item number 10 into the regular agenda to be the last item on the agenda.
so okay, all righty. What she said. Much better.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to regular agenda, public hearing and ordinances. Item number 16, public hearing of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of a portion of track 16-B, block 27, Socorro Grant, located at 11686 Socorro Road, Socorro, Texas, from C1 light commercial to R2 medium density residential to allow for a duplex. It is 7:14 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, ma'am.
No speakers? Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:15 PM. Item number 17, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of a portion of track 16-D, block 27, Socorro Grand, located at 11686 Socorro Road, Socorro, Texas, from C1 light commercial to R2 medium density residential to allow for a duplex.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item number 17 on the agenda is a rezoning request. The request is for a portion of tract 16D, block 27, Socorro Grant. It is currently zoned C1, 12,517 square feet in size. The current use is residential, and the future land use map identifies the area as high-density residential. In summary, the applicant is requesting a rezoning from C1 to R2 to allow for a duplex. Planning and zoning staff recommends approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the request at their December 5th meeting.
Yeah.
The property is located at the corner of Socorro Road and Beetle Court. It is zone C1 commercial, light commercial, and with C1 light commercial to the north, east, and west, and residential zoning, R1, single-family residential zoning to the south. These are photographs of the property taken from Beetle Court. And an aerial image shows residential uses to the north, east, and west. To the south, there is a vacant lot and a residential property. This was a public hearing, and residents, property owners within 200 feet of the property were notified of the hearing. No notices were received either in for or against the request. This is a site plan of the property. It doesn't depict the building, but it is large enough to accommodate a duplex. This is going to be a part of the next item. The request is for a preliminary and final plat of this property. The rezoning would just be for the third lot of the three being presented as a proposed Figueroa subdivision. Again, in summary, the request is for approval of a rezoning of a property from C1 light commercial to R2 medium density residential for a duplex. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
what is it currently being used for right now?
So on the entire strip, in the middle is a residential home, and that lot to the back that's being proposed for the residential, it's just accessory for the main residence. It's vacant. There's a little bit of like farming. It looks like a pen.
A what, I'm sorry?
A pen, like maybe they have chickens or.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Alrighty.
Any other questions? Mr. Reyes?
I got a question on, is it very common for the applicants to request a waiver for different requirements? In this case, it was gonna, I know that I think we changed it last meeting, but it was gonna be the drainage report, soil analysis, and sidewalk requirement. Is it very common for them to kind of
Make requests?
get away? Yes, for the sidewalks?
I don't know about common. In the time that I've been here, and I've only been here almost a year, I haven't had any requests like that come through our office. But it would be something to consider, and that would be a consideration under the next agenda item as part of the preliminary and final plat.
Okay, for the sidewalks, gonna be for the next, well,
For the next item.
okay, thank you.
I'm sorry? Next one? Okay.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 18, public hearing of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Figueroa subdivision being a portion of tract 16-D, block 27, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, with a waiver for requirement of a soil report. Public hearing is now open at 7:20 p.m.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item?
Question, is it just on the soil or the sidewalk and all that?
This is for that item. We are going to discuss that item, and we're going to discuss
Number 18.
and what the plan is doing. So if you want to discuss that now, or if you want to wait until after I make my presentation? Okay.
Okay. So you don't want to speak on this item right now, but afterwards?
I'll speak after.
Okay. But is he signed, are you signed up? Is he signed up?
No, he's not. But he can speak during public hearing.
For questioning,
He-
yeah.
He's the applicant.
He's the applicant? Okay. Okay, as there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:21 p.m. Item number 19, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Figueroa subdivision being a portion of tract 16-D, block 27, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, with a waiver for a requirement of a soils report. Motion. Do you want to make a motion?
Motion to deny?
Do we have a second?
What are you denying? You're denying the motion.
I want to know what the waivers is, what we're looking at.
Second.
Can we motion to discuss, or can we discuss the item?
No, you have to have a motion, and then you can, she introduces, and then you discuss.
You got a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. The item on the agenda is the Figueroa subdivision preliminary and final plat. The property is located at 11686 Socorro Road. This is a portion of track 16D, block 27 of the Socorro Grant. Property owner Eliborio Figueroa. The property is 0.788 acres. It is zoned C1 light commercial, with one portion being updated today to R2. The current land use is residential. It is designated in the future land use map as being high-density residential. And in the summary of the request, the applicant is requesting approval of a preliminary and final plat for Figueroa subdivision. And their original request was also to be granted a waiver of the drainage report, soils analysis, and sidewalks requirement. Staff recommended approval to the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as to the City Council for the preliminary and final plat. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the preliminary and final plat and the waiver of the soils report. It did not grant the waiver for the request to waive the drainage report requirement or the sidewalk requirement. Again, the property is located at the corner of Socorro Road and Beetle Court. It's zoned C1 commercial with this current amendment made by City Council today for the back end of the lot to R2. These are pictures. The top is from Beetle Court, the south end of the property, and from Beetle Court at the north end of the property, with Socorro Road to the right. This is an aerial image showing again the property, the residential existing home in the middle of the lot, residential uses to the north, east, and south, light commercial to the south and across Socorro Road. And this is the preliminary plat for the subdivision. They're requesting that the property be subdivided into 3 lots. And the final plat. So the applicant satisfied all of the requirements for the preliminary and final plat plat requirements, minus the waiver request for the sidewalks and soils report. With that, staff can answer any questions, and the applicant is also here to answer questions as well.
Mr. Garcia?
Why is the applicant asking for a waiver of the soils report?
Good afternoon, my name is Eliborio Figueroa, property owner of 11686 Socorro Road. The reason they were trying to waive it off is because probably the house already existed, and the individual that did the plat probably didn't want to, how can I tell you, how can I put it? Said that it wasn't probably necessary since
There's an existing dwelling, and hence the reason why they feel that they don't need to do a soil analysis, because the topsoil seems
Yeah, because they haven't built anything or.
Since the current house hasn't fallen, they think that the rest of the soil around there is good
Yes,
enough
I
to
mean,
build on.
Yes.
So, Ms. Quintero, why would we need a soil, Quintero, I'm
It's
sorry.
it's a
Quimero, I'm so
requirement of
sorry.
it's a requirement of the plating process.
So why would we waive this? Why would we not do this? You know what I mean? Like, what I'm asking is,
Our recommendation is to require it. We're not supporting the waiver of the soils report.
so we would have to deny this, right?
Not deny, just deny the waiver, but we approve the preliminary and final plat on the condition that the soils report and soils report is submitted, that the drainage report is submitted, and that the sidewalks are included in the design.
So we can approve it, but the
With the
sidewalks have to be
condition
done?
that, exactly,
The waiver for, the soils report has to be done and the drainage has to be done?
yes.
Okay.
Unless you feel that explanation is adequate, this is an older neighborhood, it's an historic district. Again, that would be at your discretion.
Right, it's just we're setting precedents for everybody else that could hear this meeting, and that's where I'm concerned about, because, you know, we did lose two of the El Paso water utilities, and that's where we are right now, and we start waving everything off, and it comes down to back to us, and I'm afraid that we could be losing accountability. But that's my opinion. Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
Also, if you could, Mr. Figueroa, can you also explain why you need the drainage report to be waived, and also why not require the sidewalks?
So on the drainage part, the only part is where the residential is at, not the empty lots. We're fine with the drainage on those empty lots for the future. But since the house was built already, the architect that built it, there's not enough space to build one, because the residential is already in place.
So you're building, what you're trying to build is on here, on all three lots, right?
Well, the middle one, there's a house already built.
Right.
So that's where we're trying to waive the drainage, on that one only.
You're not building anything else on that lot?
No,
Not-
where the house is at, no. No.
Okay, but the other two on the side,
Yes, ma'am.
you're not waiving the drainage report, the soil, or the sidewalk?
Well, on the drainage, we're not. The sidewalk, we're trying to waive it since there's no sidewalk along Socorro Road or along that Beetle Street.
Okay, so the residents don't have sidewalks
No,
in
there's no
that area?
sidewalks there, no.
Okay.
Whatsoever.
Okay. And the house has the proper drainage?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Ms. Camille. Yes.
The drainage report, we don't have a drainage report, so we'd maybe answer that.
Oh. We might have to postpone this to get information or.
That's the point of the drainage report. I'm
Okay.
requesting the drainage
Yeah.
report.
We are, because it says the applicant also requests a waiver for the drainage report, soils analysis, and sidewalk requirements. That's what I'm reading here. So I needed those answers. So we're not gonna touch the house, it's just the two side lots, and they will be required to bring the soil analysis and the drainage report.
So the motion now is to deny the item. If you wish to, so the agenda items reads that you're only waiving the soils report. If you wish to include it, then your motion would have to be approved with the soils, the drainage, and the sidewalks.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes, ma'am. Jim Martinez, City Attorney. The mayor is correct, and it would actually be, if it's council's wish to approve the item, but not waive any of those, the other three requirements, you'd actually need a floor amendment, because the way the ordinance is written now, it doesn't say that. The motion would be to approve it and to amend the ordinance such that those three things are still required.
So I'd like to amend my motion.
We have
I'm sorry.
another question before yours, sorry. Mr. Cruz?
Thank you. So I was confused because I was reading the P&Z's recommendation, and I think that's where Mr. Garcia is asking. The commission did vote for approval of the preliminary and final plat with a waiver for the requirement of a soils report. So that means that the Planning and Zoning Commission did approve the waiver of the soils analysis?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What they didn't approve was the sidewalks and the drainage.
Okay, I
They're
got
still
you.
requiring that.
I get it. There's an existing dwelling right in the center of a large lot that's going to be replatted and cut into now 3 individual lots. But at the same time, again, we're not engineers, and we don't know what type of dwelling is going to be built on that. So I personally feel that the need for and follow city ordinance for and just the requirements as any other house that's being built on the property to be, you know, kind of followed. But that's only me speaking. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Would you like to amend your motion?
I'd like to amend my motion to approve without a waiver for drainage report, soil analysis, or sidewalks requirement. Does that make sense?
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Yeah, to be clear, my suggestion would be, number one, to recommend approval, but then recommend that the motion say to make a floor amendment to the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, the published ordinance, to delete the waiver for the requirement of a soils report. And the others, there's no waiver that applies to the other 2. They're still required.
Okay. So I'm gonna amend my motion again for approval, and then I'm looking to make a floor amendment to delete the soils report.
From the ordinance.
From the ordinance.
The waiver of the soils report from the ordinance.
Okay, to make a floor amendment to delete the waiver of the soil analysis.
From the ordinance.
From the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares? Yes. Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 20, public hearing of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of Lot 1, Block 1, Viñedo Acres, replat I located at 342 F.E. Jackson Road, Socorro, Texas, from RM-1 Residential Mobile Home District to R1 Single Family Residential to allow for a single-family home.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, no.
It's a public
wait,
hearing.
It's a public hearing.
Oh, that's right.
It is 7:34 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers,
No
Mayor.
speakers. Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:35 PM. Item number 21, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of Lot 1, Block 1, Viñedo Acres, replat I located at 342 F.E. Jackson Road, Socorro, Texas, from RM1 Residential Mobile Home District to R1 Single Family Residential to allow for a single-family home. Motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 21 is a rezoning request for the property located at 342 F.E. Jackson Road, Lot 1, Block 1, Viñedo Acres, replat I. The property owner is Juana Betancourt. A representative is Leonard Herrera. The property is a little over half an acre in size, zoned RM1, Mobile Home Subdivision District, and the current land use is residential, and the future land use recommends single-family residential for this area. In summary, the applicant is requesting the approval of rezoning of a property from RM1 to R1 to allow for a single-family home. Planning and Zoning staff recommends approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval at their December 5th meeting. The property is located on Effie Jackson, just west of Perlet and Effie Jackson. It is zoned RM1. That was a recent change. Not too many months ago, City Council approved that change for the RM1 zoning to allow the 3 mobile homes to be built on the lot, on the 3 lots. It is surrounded by R1 residential zoning. These are pictures taken from Effie Jackson of the vacant lot as it currently is developed. The aerial image shows the property and the residential land uses to the north, east, and south. To the west, there is a vacant lot. Public notice was sent out to property owners within 200 feet of the property. Planning did not receive any notices either against or in support of the applicant's request. This is a site plan depicting the home on the lot. And again, in summary, the request is for a rezoning from RM1 mobile home subdivision district to R1 so that the applicant can construct a single-family home. With that, staff can answer any questions, and the applicant representative is here as well. Questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 22, public hearing of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of Lot 19, Block 1, Delip subdivision, located at 634 Burma Place, Socorro, Texas, from R1 single-family residential to R2 medium-density residential to allow for a duplex. Public hearing is now open at 7:38 p.m.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item?
Your Honor, my name is Richard Deck, and I'm honored to be here before you. I'm one of the co-owners of the property, so I'm here to answer questions if you all have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. As there are no more speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:39 p.m. Item number 23, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving a proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of Lot 19, Block 1, Delip subdivision located at 634 Burma Place, Socorro, Texas, from R1 single-family residential to R2 medium-density residential to allow for a duplex. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. The property is 634 Burma Place, Lot 19, Block 1 of Delip subdivision. Property owner Midnight Plus LLC and the representative Celia Villaseñor. The property is 9,310 square feet. It is zoned R1 residential, and the future land use map for the City of Socorro recommends single-family residential for this property. The request for approval of the rezoning from R1 to R2 is to allow for a duplex. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to deny the request at their December 5th meeting. The property is located on the south corner of Old Hueco Tanks and Karachi Way. It is zoned R1 with R1 residential zoning to the north, east, and south. The special use zoning to the west. These are photographs taken of the property. The top is from Burma Place and the bottom is taken from Karachi Way. This is an aerial photograph. The land use to the north is the church, and then residential, again, single-family homes surrounding the property on other sides. Public notice was distributed to residents within 200 feet of the property. One person came in to speak to staff prior to the planning and zoning meeting. 3 individuals did come to speak at the planning and zoning against the applicant's request. This is the site plan. And in summary, the request is for approval of a rezoning of a property from R1 to R2 to allow for a duplex. With that, staff can answer any questions. And again, the representative is here to answer any questions as well.
Ms. Villalobos?
My question, I know it's 900 plus square feet. Is that sufficient for a duplex
In that
on
R1
lot?
zoning, the R2 zoning district, yes, it is.
It is, okay. Are there any duplexes around the area?
No, they're single-family.
Okay, so, but it wouldn't be considered non-conforming?
No, it's a vacant lot. This would be new construction. It would not,
Be considered,
it doesn't fall into the category of non-conforming.
okay. Thank you.
What was the reason for the denial from the P&Z?
They didn't make any comment regarding why they were denying it. The vote was unanimous. Some of the comments that were brought forward by the residents and neighbors surrounded the cleanliness and care of the property, not being familiar with who would come in as this was being developed, probably I'm making the assumption that it was being developed for a rental property. The owner of this property owns the abutting property, and that is a rental property. So they felt that that was representative of what they would be bringing to the neighborhood. If I could summarize what was expressed by the residents who spoke against the item that day.
And what was the person that came in to complain, what was their complaint about? Was it similar?
Yes, the person who came into the office to inquire about the case and to make a comment against it also came to the meeting. She was one of the persons that came to speak at the meeting.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
just real quick, just an observation, even if they were to build a home and the owners would not want to live there, they would still rent the home, and they would have every right to build a home, correct?
That is correct, under the R1 zoning.
Yes.
Any other questions? You have a question? Comment?
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Sorry, the applicant was here. Did you want to add any comments to?
No, if the body doesn't have any questions for me, I'm fine with the application as it stands. But it is my wife and I, just so that you all know, her grandmother and grandfather own that property and the property right next to it where the house is. So it's gone down to my wife now through probate. Unfortunately, we've had people pass on. But we're looking at this empty lot, and every time we go by it, we think it's economic waste. It's just sitting there with nothing on it. And we now have 2 young children. Eventually, they're going to inherit it. So our thought was, let's try and put something there for their future. That was our motivation, if that helps.
Thank you.
Alejandro Garcia?
I think you
Mr.
skipped.
Nevares doesn't
Mr.
matter.
Nevares, you said
Yes.
yes?
Nay.
Rudy Cruz?
No.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item number 24, public hearing of an ordinance approving the Horizon Estates Master Plan being all of Tract 4-C-6-B, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, as per Section 38-7 of the City of Socorro Municipal Code. It is 7:46 PM. Public hearing is now open.
Thank you.
Speakers?
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:47 PM. Item number 25, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the Horizon Estates Master Plan being all of Tract 4-C-6-B, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, as per Section 38-7 of the City of Socorro Municipal Code. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. The request is for the approval of a master plan for Horizon Estates. This is going to be located 975 South Horizon Boulevard, Tract 4C6B, Block 3, Socorro Grant. The property owner is RH Horizon Estates. Javier Carrera of Carrera Group is the representative and in attendance if you have any questions. The property is 17.9 acres in size. It is currently zoned R2, medium density residential. Master plan is a requirement per the ordinance when a development is proposing a zoning change of over 5 acres in size. Staff recommends approval of the master plan. Commission voted for approval of the master plan at their December 19th meeting. This item is related to the next item, which is the preliminary and final plat of the Horizon Estate subdivision. So you might be a little repetitive. The property is located on Horizon Boulevard. It is zoned R2, medium density residential. It is surrounded by single-family residential zoning, agricultural, and then the lateral to the west and the future location of our Sparks Arroyo. To the south, commercial and single-family development. These are photographs of the property taken from Horizon Boulevard. And an aerial showing the single-family agricultural rural estate development to the north and west. The vacant land to the right is the future Sparks Arroyo, and then the vacant land and commercial uses to the south. This is the site plan that was proposed when the Carrera Group came to present and make the rezoning request. With that, staff can answer any questions, and again, the applicant is here. Questions?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Item number 26, public hearing of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Horizon Estate subdivision being a portion of Tract 4-C-6-B, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas. It is 7:50 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Okay, let me. As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:51 PM. Item number 27, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Horizon Estate subdivision being a portion of Tract 4-C-6-B, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. The item is the Horizon Estate subdivision preliminary and final plat located at 975 South Horizon. The property owner is ARH Horizon Estates, Representative Javier Carrera. Property is about 18 acres in size and zoned R2 medium density residential. The summary of the request is to approve a preliminary and final plat for Horizon Estates subdivision. Planning and zoning staff recommends approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the request at their December 19th meeting. Again, the property is located on Horizon Boulevard. It is zoned R2, surrounded by R1 agricultural zoning districts to the north and west, the lateral and future Sparks Arroyo to the east. And the photographs show the property again facing the property from Horizon Boulevard. You can see that it is currently vacant, as the aerial shows as well. This is the preliminary plat for Horizon Estates subdivision, and the final. And this will be again for the development of the apartment complex with 288 units with 2 access points on Horizon. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Mayor,
Ms. Villalobos?
do we have any residents, constituents speak against or for?
No, we don't distribute public notices on preliminary and final plat cases.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes?
I just got a question on the upper part. That's the street name, Street DA. Is that a name?
Oh, those are
Or it was
internal
just-
private driveways. Is that on the previous item's development plan?
Okay.
Yeah. Those are private, internal to the complex. I don't know if those are the names that they'll stick with, but.
Ruben Reyes Drive.
Followed by Rudy Cruz. Take it into consideration, boys.
Should we write it down?
We have to be dead first.
Do we have any other questions?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 28, public hearing of an ordinance approving the Horizon Park Master Plan being all of tracks 2, 2-A, 3-B, 3-B-1, 3B5, 4C, 1L, 4E, 1A, 9A2, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, as per Section 38-7 of the City of Socorro Municipal Code. Public hearing is now open at 7:55 PM. Do we have any speakers?
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:55 PM. Item number 29, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the Horizon Park Master Plan being all of tracks 2, 2A, 3B, 3B1, 3B5, 4C, 1L, 4E, 1A, 9A2, Block 3, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas, as per Section 38-7 of the City of Socorro Municipal Code.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Horizon Park Master Plan. Located on Horizon Boulevard, property owners are the Bowling Brothers Development Company LLC, Fiesta Palms LTD. Representative Jorge Escarate with CEA Group is in attendance if you have any questions for the applicant or his representative. The property is 62 acres in size. It is currently zoned C2 and R2. It is vacant. The summary of the request is to approve the master plan as part of the ordinance requirements. Staff recommends approval of the master plan, and the commission approved the master plan at their December 19th meeting. The property is located on Horizon Boulevard. And is highlighted in blue. It is divided currently by the lateral. It is zoned R2 and C2, surrounded by agricultural zoning to the south and a mix of commercial and residential to the south. These are photographs of the property taken from Range War Court, and the bottom photograph is taken from Horizon Boulevard. Here is an aerial image. The land is vacant, and this is the proposed development. A mix of commercial uses, and I believe it's 3 commercial lots, 209 single-family lots, a single apartment lot with 84 units, and a park. With that, staff can answer any questions. Ms. Villalobos?
So, okay, it's gonna stay C2 and R2. It's gonna stay that way. We're just approving the changes to the master plan.
So this is the development plan, and this started before I was on board with the city of Socorro, but it was my understanding that the larger development was coming in phases, so they have done the zoning, and they have completed the zoning for what is now Horizon Park Unit 1, which is the next agenda item. In the future, when they are ready to move on to the next development phase, crossing the lateral, they will come back for a zoning request.
Okay.
So there is still some zoning issues that need to be resolved for the second phase, but as part of the requirements for the final plat approval of Horizon Park Unit 1, we've asked the applicant to submit the master plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes. Item number 30, public hearing of an ordinance approving the final plat for Horizon Park Unit 1 subdivision being all of tracks 2A, 3B1, 4C, 1L, and 9A2, Block 3, Socorro, Texas. Public hearing is now open at 7:59 p.m.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 8 p.m. Item number 31, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the final plat for Horizon Park Unit 1 subdivision being all of tracks 2A, 3B1, 4C, 1L, and 9A2, Block 3, Socorro, Texas. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Horizon Park Unit 1 final plat approval. The property owner is Bowling Brothers Development Company, LLC, Fiesta Palms, LTD, the representative Jorge Escarate, CEA Group. Property is 31.7 acres in size. It is zoned R2 commercial, R2 and C2 general commercial. The current land use for the property is vacant, and the summary of the request is for approval of the preliminary final plat of Horizon Park Unit 1. Staff recommends approval, and the commission voted for approval at their December 19th meeting. The property is located off of Horizon Boulevard, and as mentioned, zoned R2 and commercial, C2. It is land uses surrounding the property are agricultural to the south and west, commercial to the east, and a mix of residential R1 and C2 commercial to the south, to the north. The property photographs are taken from Range War Court and from Horizon Boulevard. Again, the property is vacant. It is being cleared for the development of the residential units. This is the final plat for Horizon Park Unit 1. It is my understanding that the next phase for the development will be the replat of the southern portion for the single-family residential development. And the owners wanted to just move forward with, at the first phase, the development of the apartments, which are to the north of the development. In summary, the request is for approval of a final plat for Horizon Park Unit 1. With that, staff can answer any questions. And again, the applicant is here in case you have any questions for the applicant.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to move items number 42 through 45 up on the agenda.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Yvonne Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to Planning and Zoning Department, item number 42, discussion and action to approve Resolution 782, authorizing mayor to sign the public highway at grade crossing agreement in relation to the Railroad Federal Signal Program improvements at Union Pacific Railroad and North Moon Road on behalf of the city of Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. The item is a resolution authorizing mayor to sign the public highway at-grade crossing agreement. As you might recall, in the council previously approved a resolution granting mayor the authority to sign the exhibit for the safety improvements being proposed by TxDOT and being designed and constructed by TxDOT. This agreement before you is the agreement with the city and Union Pacific, allowing us to perform these, and TxDOT to perform these improvements, and with the understanding of maintenance, these maintenance of these new facilities will be the responsibility of the city, which is currently the situation at any intersection crossing within the city of Socorro at Union Pacific Railroad. This is the location, as you can see from the aerial. And then the next slide is just a small exhibit showing the improvements, sidewalk, signal for pedestrians, and then the improvements at grade and the additional sign stripes, safety on the roadway. With that, staff can answer any questions. And the representative from TxDOT are here as well if you have any questions.
Questions?
Mayor, may I?
Mr. Martinez?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, Jim Martinez, City Attorney. If council is inclined to approve this resolution, I would suggest an amendment that needs to be part of the motion, and I'm just going to recite it. If council accepts it, you can just say I include that amendment as part of my motion. After the colon in the second paragraph, the paragraph that begins, now therefore, after the colon, we need to insert language, the following language: that certain public highway at-grade crossing agreement is approved, is hereby approved, and the mayor is authorized to sign such an agreement on behalf of the city of Socorro, and then to delete the language that's there in its place at the moment.
Please include that in my amendment for approval.
Second.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 43, discussion and action to approve Resolution 783, authorizing mayor to sign the agreement between the state of Texas and the city of Socorro for maintenance, control, supervision, and regulation of state highways in the city of Socorro and entered through a municipal maintenance agreement. Do we
Motion
have-
to approve, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Second.
Thank you. Item 43, Texas Municipal Maintenance Agreement. This item is brought to you as a follow-up to previous council action, council direction for replacing of the 2009 Texas State Champion Socorro High School baseball signs. These are part of the TxDOT City Pride sign program. In order for us to make the changes and upgrades necessary for the signs, we needed to go into this municipal maintenance agreement with the TxDOT. These are agreements that the state has with cities across the state, and for whatever reason, the city of Socorro did not have one. As soon as we enter into this agreement, we can go on to the next phase, getting the information for this City Pride Sign Program agreement to council for your consideration. And this agreement does require a resolution from the city. Planning and zoning staff recommends approval. And I apologize, I went ahead and said all of the information on all of the slides already. But again, just standard agreements that TxDOT has with when they are operating facilities within a municipality. The next map shows the non-controlled access roads that TxDOT owns and maintains, as well as the controlled access roadways, which is the interstate through portions of the interstate that run through the city of Socorro's municipal district, municipal boundary. These were the original sign locations. 2 of those signs are no longer there. Some of the signs might not fit the program requirements as they're currently stand. So we'll be evaluating those and making recommendations to City Council when we next present the City Pride Sign Agreement. Again, next steps are to execute this agreement, bring the City Pride Agreement to City Council for your consideration, hopefully in February, and then March to finalize the design of the signs, coordinate with TxDOT, and hopefully have the new signs installed in May or June of this year. With that, staff can answer any questions. Questions? No?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 44, discussion and action to approve Resolution 784, granting an extension of the Valle Nuevo preliminary plat per Chapter 38 subdivision, Article L, Section 38-8.7.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. For your consideration is an extension of the Valle Nuevo preliminary plat. This is located north, sorry, I'm running out of words now. The property is zoned R2, medium density residential. It is 56 acres in size. It is vacant, residential, and commercial is the proposed use for the property. And the request currently is to extend the preliminary plat approved by City Council at your July 20th, 2022 meeting. Plats expire after 2 years. The ordinance, though, does allow City Council to grant extensions based on an extenuating need and benefit to the city. The applicant's representative has submitted the final plat and did so at the beginning of December. and did request the extension prior to the expiration of the preliminary plat. The reasons being the lengthy construction times and timeframes and extensive coordination that was required for some elements in this plat and this property. The lift station coordination with the El Paso County Water Irrigation District number 1, and permitting, as well as coordination with TxDOT for permitting for the access onto North Loop. Just to familiarize you all again with the property, this is on North Loop at the end of the Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road. It is zoned R2, and just at the north end of the city of Socorro city limits. An aerial photograph. This is a very recent photograph. They've already, again, begun the grading and the preliminary site improvements, and we're ready to move forward with the approval of the final plat. And the importance of this plat moving forward, again, for the city, the extension of Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road has the alignment through this subdivision, and the plat is dedicating the 110 feet of right-of-way for the development of the future extension of Nuevo Hueco Tanks Boulevard. In summary, the applicant is requesting an extension of the preliminary plat approved by City Council at their July 20th, 2022 meeting. It has expired, but it is our recommendation that we approve the extension so that they may continue with the next steps, which is the final plat. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 45, discussion and action to approve construction contract change orders number 2, 3, and 4 for the Passmore Shared Use Project CCSJ 0924-06-604 under contract number 22-07-01 with Hewitt Zollers, Inc., added by change order number 2, $3,010.37, added by change order number 3, $9,586.73, added by change order number 4, $4,734.44.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor, that last one was a typo that,
It
700,
was missing.
734, not 4,300.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
There's a 4 there, so delete the 4?
Change
That's
order number 4.
correct.
It's change order number 4.
Change order number 4,
Okay, I see.
and that
So
should be a dollar sign, 734.44.
$734.44.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
Already?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. These are change orders related to the city's Passmore Shared Use Path project. Begins at Upper Clint Lateral at Passmore to the Franklin Canal at Passmore. The length of the project is just a little under a mile. And these are just developments with the ongoing project. For change order number 2, we're addressing the installation of the barriers between the roadway and the sidewalk at the 141 Passmore, as the design didn't quite fit and caused some barrier to entry into the property. Change order number 3 addresses work the contractors had to replace due to the El Paso County Water Improvement District number 1 stopping work. The project did have to take a pause once the irrigation started this past year. They picked up right away to try to continue the work and complete the project on time. Change order number 4 addresses quantities for pavement markings that were just insufficient to cover the demands of the project. This change order will result in an increase of $13,331.54 to the project. If staff can answer any questions, also Hewitt Zollers representative Roxanne Rivera, who's been the project manager, is also here to answer any questions if you might have any at this time.
I have a question.
Mr. Cruz?
So all of the change orders that are being made today or requested today, they're at the cost of who?
The city of Socorro.
So, and I'm just trying to understand, but why should the city of Socorro be responsible for these change orders? And I'll read them. I'll read them as per the item here that's been listed here. The median installed at 141 past 4, making turning into the driveway difficult, and the cars are hitting the curb. This work will tamper both sides of the median. So it's not negligent driving, as stated here in the construction contract change order for number 2. This change order is required because this work, which was done by the contractor, not the residents, will tamper both sides of the median at a 30-degree angle to provide access to the driveway. So I'm under the assumption that it's due to poor planning. That's change order number 2. Change order number...
If we can address number 1 at a time.
Okay.
Number 2 was a fault in the design on Dannenbaum, and that was a change that was deemed positive and reflected on the rest of the driveways throughout the rest of the project.
Can I add to that? So when you turn into Passmore, if you see at the right-hand side coming from Alameda, they're very squared. So people were having a hard time, our residents were having a hard time.
Yeah.
We caught that design error, prompting to change the design on the other side, but now we want them to go back and fix that first side. However, it was a design error that was specified, so we caught it and asked them to fix.
So, okay, so then there's no reimbursement then for that error?
No, because it was a design error. The contractor went out there and followed the design. When we're inspecting, we realized that design wasn't gonna work for the residents because it was too squared for them to be able to go into their homes.
Okay, and then the stop work from the Water Improvement District, how do we end up paying for that one there?
The contractor felt that they were in time and they could complete the work.
Before the irrigation season?
Before irrigation season was to start, and the Water Irrigation District does have authority over that and deemed that was...
And I don't mean to be real technical, but did the Water Improvement District change their scheduling as far as watering goes? Did they say, you know what, we're coming in earlier? Because, again, in construction contracts, when the contractor schedules out a contract for construction, they say, my guys can get it done with the resources, material, and the money that we said we were going to do. This is a contractual agreement, which they failed to meet, is how I'm reading it. And now the city taxpayer is being responsible for that.
Good evening, Council. Roxanne Rivera for Hewitt Zollers. We're the construction managers on the project. So for the change order number 3, the contractor was actually prepped and was ready to pour the footings for the pedestrian bridge at the Franklin feeder. And the district, we had until March 15th, and we were early March. And so we felt that we were going to finish, but the district called us off early, and because they were going to do some maintenance on the feeder, and they didn't want to, they were going to stop it further down, and they didn't want to risk that the water level in the feeder would rise higher than where they had already excavated. And so they made them rip out the footings that we had already prepped for the footings and put the rebar in, and they made them take that out that day. We were like hours from pouring those footings, and they made them take that out, recompact the side slopes, and re-put back the original riprap that was there. And so that's why that was an additional cost to the project that we were probably within 2 weeks, we would have been done, but they did stop us early on that for that section of the project.
So that's why I asked the question of did the water district start watering sooner than their normal schedule, or did the contractor not meet their scheduled pour date?
They did maintenance on the channel, on the Franklin feeder prior to the irrigation season, and so they stopped the contractor earlier than what we had anticipated. I think we had until March 15th, and they stopped them early March.
Okay. And then, and again, I'm just doing what I have to do. It's taxpayer dollars, and I have to ask all the right questions. Change order number 4 addresses the quantities for pavement markings that were insufficient. Insufficient on whose behalf?
There was an insufficient amount accounted for in the plans. The plan sheet called for a double yellow stripe down Passmore. On one of the sheets, they only accounted for a single yellow. And so that when they installed the double yellow, we were short half the quantity.
When you say they, who's they?
The design engineer. That was not accounted for properly in the quantities.
So so why isn't the design engineer paying for this? Why does Socorro have to pay for this?
That one, since it is a project cost, the TxDOT may participate in it. We'll send that into TxDOT to determine if that's going to be a valid cost for them to participate. Since it was an original project cost and we're using unit costs for the project, they may participate, and it's an 80% participation. So the city would only pay for the 20% that would be the town's or the city's requirement of part of the contract.
Okay, and again, I know you're just a messenger, and I'm sorry.
I understand.
I'm sorry, but I have people to speak up for. But so what, moving forward, because there's nothing concrete right now as far as the amounts do, other than what's been presented here, but you use the terms, they may participate in reimbursement of some sort. I don't feel comfortable acknowledging or I guess, saying yes to something that we don't know, because we're unsure maybe of those numbers.
Change order number 4, I'm 99% certain, since it was a quantity overrun. It'll be treated as a quantity overrun, and if there's funds within the project funding agreement, they will participate at 80%. 2 and 3, since they are they will most likely not participate in that. Since we're changing the design for number 2, we're tapering those medians. We did change that after that street, but when we were looking at it, we didn't catch that, but they did do it according to plans. It's just on some, I believe at that residence, the gentleman has a trailer that he couldn't make the turn into his driveway. And so he had requested that from the city, and the city agreed that they would allow for that to taper that off so that they could get better access to their driveway.
So on the current project, who project manages for the city? Who protects us? Like who oversees the project on our behalf?
We are overseeing the project on your behalf. So we have already negotiated these down. They were significantly higher, and so we've negotiated with the contractor down, made sure that that all what they were asking for, it was a legitimate cost, and so we've been negotiating on behalf of the city for that amount. The change order number 4, which was unit cost, those were at the cost of the contract, and so those were already costs that were identified in the bid, and so that's the cost that they used, and so that's how we verified that the quantity was correct, and that's how we came up with that amount that was done for change order number 4.
Mayor, can I add to that?
Ms. Rodarte?
I think one of our biggest challenges is when we work with different entities that have more, they stopped us. We had just like you're gonna see a change order with Bovee Bridge where we weren't able to do it concurrently, right? So a year from now, the costs are gonna go up compared to this year. And we have no control over that. Those are the challenges that the city of Socorro is that now we have to work with the railroad, we have to work with the irrigation district, and you're working on their facilities in order to make improvements for our residents. So sometimes there's situations that are beyond our control. And there's agreements where you submit the application where the water irrigation district kind of puts themselves, we're not liable for any of the overcost. You want to build in my facilities, these are pretty much our rules, and you move forward. And I think that if that's something we disagree with, we really do have to go and fight with the board at Water Irrigation District to give us a little bit of more support when it comes to making these changes.
Mr. Garcia?
Who was the design engineer for this?
It was Dannenbaum or DEC.
So Dannenbaum is the one per se making the mistakes that you have to repair?
That we had to determine a good solution for. So, yes.
And to add to that, at this point, Dannenbaum is not answering any of our questions regarding the projects that we paid for.
So Dannenbaum is not answering for what they've done?
Any of the design issues that we're having, so they're having to
We're having to
reinvent.
field engineer them to come up with the best solution in the field, basically. And one of the things that we look at is to minimize the cost. So any changes that we do, we do look at minimizing cost. What can we do? What can we use within the plans, so that we don't have these, like the quantity adjustments. And so there's other components that come in, and so we're looking at field, during the construction to field engineer some of these items.
So on a whim?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, on a whim? That's why you're fixing them on a whim?
Not on a whim, no.
But fixing them as you go?
As we go, but not on a whim. No, we look at it, we come
Right.
up with a good solution. We look at all the safety, the engineering, and so we do, no, it's not on a whim, but it's, we are giving you a safe product. And so, we are making sure that it complies with all standards and all, codes that we need to comply with, and that it's meeting all standards. So it's not on a whim.
Sorry.
Yes, it is, we are engineers, we do field engineer, and so, we come back and we'll do sketches, we'll do designs, and then we'll just coordinate. The good thing is you do have a very good contractor for this project, and so they work with us to, help to make sure that we get the product that we need out. And so for the most part, it's gone very well. Most projects have some change orders. There's unforeseen site conditions that you just, can't plan for without having to. And in order to plan for everything, we'd have to go through and excavate the entire project length before jury design, so that we can see what we might encounter, and that's really cost prohibitive to the city during design. So sometimes we find utilities that are in the wrong place, or that weren't called for, and so, there's just things that come up during construction that, that they even have a category, unforeseen site conditions. Happen, very, very few projects happen with no change orders. We usually try and keep them, less than 1% or less than 2 to 3% of the project, which I think is where we are here.
Of course. Sorry, okay. Jim, I don't know if it's off topic or we can talk about this right now, but if Dannenbaum is responsible for some of this, is there anything this council action can take to mitigate it?
On the current posting, no. I mean, in the abstract, yes, if you want to pursue a former vendor for design errors, but you'd have to post a separate item and then deliberate that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Villalobos? One more.
So that was along my question, but to add to that, our contract with this engineer firm, Dannenbaum, is there anything that we have in our contract that says if there is a mishap on one of the designs, they're responsible to a certain point?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to read the contract, but all of which kind of tells me, and that would merit its own agenda item and notice to the public that we were going to discuss the old contract with Dannenbaum.
Same thing, okay. Which, in that same, we could add everything that we've been going through and that we haven't been paid for. We can put it all together or individually?
To the, either one.
Okay, something to consider.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah. I think we'd probably end up paying more than $13K in attorney fees alone, just to even entertain that, right? But so then I guess what I'm understanding then now is the deficiencies that have been found through the field engineering on you guys is part of the original design then, I guess? Like when it's like insufficient material, that's because of the original design and pricing, and it's like, hey, in order for us to complete this project as per design, they were off here. Is that what you guys are catching right now?
For change order number 4, yes, they were off on that.
I
on
know
that
it's beyond your
quality.
control, WID, I get it, I
Yeah,
understand that.
yes, so
yeah.
that one was, the change order number 3 was due to the irrigation district accelerating or basically telling us that we needed to get off their property and couldn't do any more work until the next irrigation season.
Yeah.
And so we were, like I said, we were hours away. If they had poured in the morning like they had originally planned, they wouldn't have had that issue, but they had postponed the pour until the afternoon, and the irrigation district said, no, we want this removed, and we want our riprap back the way it was, ASAP, and so we had to do that. We had to comply with their directives. They had been on site the entire week. They had watched what we were doing, so it's not like they weren't aware of the project, and they weren't aware, and they were just gonna, they had just, I believe it was their general director had said, nope, we're doing some maintenance and we need that put back.
And I think we're learning the hard way. I think from here on moving forward, anytime we're gonna get close to the levee, we'll have meetings and include WID because we've had to stop other projects due to the irrigation season and whatnot, and so I think that.
Yes, and unfortunately, Socorro has irrigations, you have a lot of irrigation property within, your city limits, so almost every project, I think.
If it wasn't for those bridges, I'd be swimming across to get to my house.
That is true. So, and then change order number 2 was just we thought that the design was correct in the sense that it was not a bad, it was not an incorrect design. It just was not very conducive for some of those driveways because they're very small and they're very narrow, and so they just didn't allow for the turning radiuses. So.
So we drive big trucks here, we don't.
So, yes.
Ms. Villalobos?
And the other thing I was gonna mention, and I know that you've been through it, because it's my district, headaches, the residents hate the design, not the actual, some of them didn't like what we did, or what happened there, they felt like it was, the street was reduced, and et cetera, et cetera. Do you foresee any other driveways that need to be corrected? Do you foresee problems with the design for the future for that area now that we've had vehicles go up and down that area? Ms. Rodarte, do we have any accidents due to the design?
So we haven't run the report, but no, I think that the accidents have minimized and not everyone hates it because we have received positive feedback. It's just some people don't like change.
Thank you for telling me that, because I have not received one.
No,
No,
yes,
we're not
you hear-
aware of any other driveways. Basically, we're treating them as if they come in and complain, we'll look at it and see. That's why we wanted to make sure that the cost for this first one was as low as we could get it, so that the next ones, if we needed to do multiple driveways where we had to, taper them so that they would have a turning radius into them, we don't want it to accelerate the cost too much. So, that's why we did negotiate that down considerably with the contractor, but it is a lot of work because they're gonna have to saw cut it now. So the rest of the driveways, if you look on the other side, they came out really nice. They're kind of tapered at the driveways, and so they have that room to turn in. And so,
And we are 90% completed on this project,
We're
correct?
about 90%. We're finalizing, they'll be placing the pedestrian bridge, actually next Monday and Tuesday across the Franklin Feeder. So the footings are in, the abutments are in, and so they're getting ready they've been coordinating with the electric company because there's some power lines, and so they have to bring in a crane. And so they will be, buffering the electrical lines, and they'll be able to get their crane in, and they'll be placing that bridge on Monday and probably Tuesday of next week. On the Franklin drain, they're working on finishing the embankment. They cleared out the vegetation that was there. They're working on the embankment for the path that's gonna go through there, and they'll be putting the riprap, so they anticipate to finish that one before the irrigation season starts again. They're starting an early irrigation season this year. And then the only issue we may have is the upper Clint lateral, where we have found some utilities that were not identified on the plans. One was identified, but it was in the wrong location, and then there was a gas line that was not where it was supposed to be, so those were further north of the canal. And so Texas Gas has lowered their gas line. We're working with the Lower Valley Water District to lower their water line. And then there's a line on the downstream end of the canal of the lateral that we have not identified who the utility is. So we're working with the El Paso County Water Improvement District to see if we can get some more information on that one. So that there's a possibility we might not finish that lateral by the 15th of February.
Okay. Wow.
But everything else should be done.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia is absent. Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to Grants Department, item number 32, discussion and action to approve Resolution 777, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, OOG Criminal Justice Division, CJD, fiscal year 2025 Criminal Justice Program, JAG, for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We are requesting your approval to submit a grant application to the Criminal Justice Program, also known as JAG, for the Socorro Police Department. The grant application, we will request funding for an intelligence analyst, a peace officer in the police department. The goal of the project is to increase the department's capacity to carry out intelligence-based investigations addressing violent crime, border crime, and gang activity. There is no match for this grant application, but a resolution is required as part of the application process.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 33, discussion and action to approve Resolution 778, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, OOG Criminal Justice Division, CJD, fiscal year 2025 Juvenile Justice and Truancy Prevention Grant Program for the Socorro Police Department, PAL program. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We are requesting your approval to submit a grant application to the 2025 Juvenile Justice and Truancy Prevention Grant Program. This is for the Police Athletics League. As you recall, a couple of years ago, the Police Department did receive funding through the same grant program to start a Police Athletics League as an after-school mentoring program for youth in Socorro with the goal of reducing truancy. We had a little bit of a setback during COVID, but during this last fiscal year, the police department did implement that program with Socorro Youth. And so now we're going to ask for funding for program supplies and also overtime for our officers that are going to volunteer to participate in this program. There is no match requirement for this grant, but again, we do need a resolution to submit with the application.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares is absent. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 34, discussion and action to approve Resolution 779, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, OOG, fiscal year 2025 Bullet Resistant Shield Grant Program for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, again, we are requesting your approval to submit a grant application on behalf of the Socorro Police Department. The Office of the Governors is making funding available for bullet-resistant shields. And so we are submitting a grant application. There is no match requirement for this grant, but we do, again, need a resolution to submit with the grant application.
Excellent.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 35, discussion and action to approve Resolution 780, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, OOG fiscal year 2025 rifle-resistant body armor grant for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Again, this is another grant opportunity through the Office of the Governors. We are requesting funding for rifle resistance body armor grant through this grant program for the police department. We are going to request body armor, vests, and ballistic plates and plate carriers so that our officers are safe when they're on the field.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 36, discussion and action to approve Resolution 781, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, OOG Criminal Justice Division, CJD, fiscal year 2025, General Victim Assistance Grant Program for the Crime Victims Advocacy Program in the Socorro Police Department. There is a 20% requirement for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We're requesting your approval to submit a grant application to the Office of the Governor's General Victim Assistance Grant Program. This grant application does require a 20% match. So we are requesting your approval for a match commitment of up to $9,800, which is at 20% match for a total project cost of approximately $49,000. This is to continue the support for the Crime Victims Advocate Program. As you recall, last year, the Socorro Police Department also received funding through this grant. This year, we are requesting funding for a crime victim notification system to modernize and maximize communication with victims of crime in Socorro, in addition to all of the other supplies, counseling, and therapy services that were offered to victims through last year's grant. We're also adding that to this year's grant. Again, the match is 20%, which is a match of up to $9,800.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 37, discussion and action to approve the submission of a grant application to the Texas A&M Community Forestry Grant Program for the Socorro Tree Planting Project. There is a match of up to $20,000 for this grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We are requesting your approval to submit a grant application to the Texas A&M Forest Service Urban and Community Forestry Program for their tree planting category. The Texas A&M Forest Service did a study across the state of Texas looking at all communities in terms of the heat island effect, how vulnerable the populations were in the community, and they came out with a list of 29 communities across Texas that would greatly benefit from more trees and more tree canopy coverage. One of those 29 communities in Texas is Socorro. So they are targeting this grant program to those 29 communities. The project that we are going to propose is a tree canopy shading project to line the Passmore shared use path that was just discussed in the previous items. As you know, TxDOT only supports line items that are related to transportation, and sometimes, in my opinion, they incorrectly categorize things like trees, which are very important for heat protection, as non-essential to the project. And so when we apply, we can't really ask for, all the shading and landscaping and trees that would not only beautify the shared use path, but also provide very important shade and heat protection for people when they're out there walking. As you know, in West Texas, even when it's 75 degrees out, the asphalt can get up to 105 degrees. And your dogs can actually get burnt just from walking on the asphalt. So we want to be able to make sure that we mitigate the extreme heat by providing that shade. There is a 1-to-1 match for this project, meaning that the city of Socorro will request $20,000, but it also has to commit $20,000 in order to get the grant award. So the total project cost would be $40,000. And again, that would fund landscaping, irrigation, with the goal of providing tree canopy shade along Charity's path.
Questions?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item 131.
Moving on to mayor and council, item number 46, discussion and action to support the Texas Mission of Mercy through promotion of this free event through all City of Socorro media platforms.
Motion to approve?
Mr. Cruz, would you like to introduce?
No, just nothing. Y'all received the presentation earlier this evening. This is just to get y'all support and having our staff promote this free event through our social media platforms here with the City of Socorro.
Any questions?
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Would you like to make a motion for
Yeah,
47?
yeah. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and delete this item. After further review, it seems that this may bring a just potential liabilities to the city if we were to amend the language with the wording or verbiage that I have stated in here. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to delete item number 47.
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
No, we have the, let me delete,
48 through.
yeah, do we have a motion to delete items 48 through 50?
Motion to delete items 48 through 50?
Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
No, no,
I'm
We
sorry.
have item number 10.
Oh, that's
Moving on
Mr.
to
Garcia.
consent agenda.
I'm
Ya
sorry.
mero, ya mero.
Rápido.
Did you consent agenda?
It's not on the consent agenda now.
It's
It's
in
item number
reg-
10.
Comes out
it's in the
10.
regular agenda.
It's on regular.
Did you want to take it to executive or just?
No. I, so it was.
Oh, let me read it first,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
Item number 10, introduction, first reading and calling for a public hearing of an ordinance approving the proposed amendment to the City of Socorro's master plan and rezoning of Block 2, Track 6 and 6A, Socorro Grant located at 11051 North Loop Drive, Socorro, Texas, from A1 agricultural to ICMUD industrial, commercial, mixed-use developments to allow for enclosed manufacturing, warehouses, compounding, assembling, or treatment of articles.
So,
And then we have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Jim left? Oh, I can't see you, Jim, I'm sorry.
No, we need
Yeah,
a
yeah.
motion
motion.
and a second, and then we can speak.
Okay. Motion to deny?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms.
So-
Villalobos.
My question was, well, I wanted to see, I know that it's on North Loop and Mesa Drain, right? Do we have a map of it up there? This is where they wanted, this is the 99.332 acres?
It's a lot of acres. They both did stuff denies it, and so does the commission.
Ms. Colon Villalobos, it sounds like you're asking for information about the underlying case. I mean, I think your staff is not prepared to make a presentation about, they don't have the usual materials available to them to present to you.
Okay.
Because they usually do that at the second reading of the public hearing.
Okay. Well, because I wanted to know why staff denied it and why, you know, the board denied it too.
I would defer to Lorraine.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
It was denied by staff and the board.
Correct. So what happened is that this request came in. There was denial because we received some comments from the public. However, the applicant went back and addressed some of the comments that the planning and zoning had. So now they're bringing it to council with addressing those comments, and they want the opportunity to show you what changes have been made from the original request.
So my other question would have been, right now it's denial, it was denied, but it had, one of us made a motion that says for approval. Then it would come back, but right now we're denying it.
Well, it's a consent agenda, so it's an introduction, because we have to have a public hearing. We need to notify the public, and then you would have the public be able to speak, and then you would have the second reading and adoption in order for you guys to listen. The applicant would be here, so we do have the applicant, Mr. Jorge Escarate, here to answer any questions. But right now, it's just an introduction saying, hey, we're gonna have a public hearing, we're going to, which we haven't had yet.
Right, the city manager is correct. The typical process is, to get to your question, that is perhaps as unconventional as it sounds, the standard way that these are handled is even if it's denied by the commission, it still comes before city council, because city council retains the final authority on it.
Okay.
And then typically we still introduce a hearing, introduce an ordinance, publish the ordinance, publish notice of the public hearing, and then you get the full-blown presentation that the commission has already received.
Okay. So just because it was in consent agenda and it was denied by the staff and the board, does not mean that they don't have the right to bring it back.
Correct, it's actually the contrary.
And that was my question.
But if you do deny it right now, then it wouldn't be an introduction. We wouldn't introduce it because you're denying it. You took it out of consent, so we would be denying it tonight because that's the motion on the table. So it wouldn't move forward.
So, I amend my motion, and in order to allow the Hermanos Farms to bring it back to council, we should approve if that's the route that we want to go.
Correct. But it's not, so it's up to council what you want to do, not to Hermanos Farms. We have the representative here if you have questions, but our normal process is it's introduction, then we put up a public hearing so we can let the people know we're going to have a public hearing about it. And then they get to speak, and then we present to you all, and then you make an informed decision based on the information that's being provided to you.
I think I'm sorry. So if
what would the motion
we're
be?
not approving the plat mat or the master plan or nothing,
No, ma'am, you're approving the introduction
The
to
introduction.
the item, meaning you're allowing us to publish for a public
Right.
hearing.
So
all
that should
all
be my
you're
motion.
approving. That's why it goes into consent, because all you're doing is approving the public hearing.
Okay, so that should be my motion right now, if that's the route I want to take.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Well,
your
it's because
question.
my first motion was to deny. So if we deny.
So so when you're denying us to go and introduce it and publish it.
Right.
You're telling me, no, we don't want you to even introduce it.
Right.
You have a second, so if you guys go with that motion, then it dies. It's the done deal.
Yeah, and if I change my motion to approve right now, then I'm asking you to go ahead and publish whatever you need to do and
I
move
think
forward.
there shouldn't be a
But because I
motion
took it out of.
We're only
consent.
introducing the process, but we can deny it, but normally we usually go through the process of allowing it to be
Due
presented.
process, right?
Yeah.
So you're allowing for due process for the applicant, for the citizens, and for you all is going through consent, introduction, public hearing.
That's what I'm
then
saying.
going- Yeah, so that's due process.
Mhm.
But you can deny tonight if that's what you wish to do.
Okay. Did you have another question?
Well, yeah, I'd like to introduce a new motion to go ahead and move forward with this in order to make an informed decision, because I don't think that we have the
No.
full presentation and information here, so I wouldn't feel
Well,
comfortable.
We already have a motion on the floor, though.
Well, yeah, no,
deny in a
I
second.
was gonna rescind my motion
Okay.
to deny, but to approve to do the due process.
It's just a standard motion to approve.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm changing my motion to approve from denial to approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lobos.
Yes.
Meeting adjourns at 8:57 PM. Good night.